Welcome to the Clean Energy Show. I'm Brian Stockton.
And I'm James Whittingham.
So let's look at the news here. So James, Nissan has come up with a zero emissions lullaby.
Oh my God. You know, that's interesting. I thought about that because as a avid parent, I used to drive my kids around and put the little buggers to sleep that way. And I hadn't even considered that in an electric car, you don't get that.
So it turns out lots of people do that. They drive their kids around to put them to sleep. Like this is a super common thing. And I mean, first of all, it's a huge waste of fossil fuels to be doing something so ridiculous.
Well,
but when you're a desperate parent, it makes sense, right?
Sure, I would throw money out the window if I could.
Yeah, but an electric car, of course, doesn't make as much noise, doesn't make the same noise. So Nissan has gotten together with a sound designer, and they've developed this soundtrack that you're supposed to play in your electric car that includes engine sounds that'll put your kids to sleep, I guess.
Why does it have to include engine sounds? Why couldn't it include a fetal heartbeat or something? Why something with oil? There's a lot of things that put kids to sleep.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit ridiculous. Kids, white noise often works. Lots of things work. We don't need...
Can't we stick a stereo mic in a womb and just record that for a while? And all the flowing of fluids around and stuff like that?
That's a brilliant idea.
And I think it's been done.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's been done. That's what really the kids are looking for. It's the car noise sort of replicates that a little bit, the engine.
Well, maybe that could be our next episode. We'll just put a microphone up there.
And plus you're swinging around in your mom's womb, so that's part of the motion of the car.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's interesting.
All right, what do you got?
Nothing. Brian, I'm concerned. You see, as an advocate for EVs in my butthole of a place in Canada, I sometimes have trouble convincing people that EVs are coming. And the big contingent of EVs taking over is the price of batteries coming down. And I'm a little bit wondering, why aren't they coming down in price? Are the profit margins just going up, or were electric car makers like GM losing money, like some people suspected, on their cars, and now maybe they're breaking even because the prices have come down? I know somebody at GM yesterday was talking about that they've got a long way to go. So they see it coming. Sometimes you don't see the prices coming. Price of solar, for instance, went down tremendously, but they still say battery prices are going down 18 to 20% a year.
Yeah, if you look at any chart, the battery prices are going down, but I don't know. GM's just worried they're not fast enough, and I don't know.
I'm worried they're not fast enough. It's me. It's me who's worried. And I'm just concerned that, with the planet on fire, I'm kind of anxious about the horse race, as you would. Yeah,
well, every week there seems to be some announcement about new battery factories being built. So sure. I think it's all coming. It's just not happening.
My theory is that the Chinese will save us.
Okay.
Because they did so with solar panels. And a lot of controversy because they dumped them onto the market and brought the prices down. But this is one of those things that I don't care. It's important. They can dump all they want. Yeah.
And the stories that I hear about are things like, Tesla building battery factories and...
Sure, we hear about that. Where's the prices? Where's the price parity? Because people always come to me and say, Jimmy, that's not my name, but they say that. Mm-hmm. Why would I want to pay $65,000 for the low-end Tesla? And I don't know what to say to them. I say, there's the argument that it's better than other $65,000 cars, but it's not affordable. I can't afford one.
No, I know. I
drive a Nissan Leaf, by the way, from 2013. Mm-hmm. Love it, of course.
Well, we just have to be patient, I guess. But yeah, I'm thinking about buying a new electric car, so that's something I think we'll talk about later on. Mm-hmm. But yeah,
you've got money though. I don't have a job. That's why I'm here doing this podcast, because what else am I going to do?
And podcasts are so lucrative.
Sure, podcasting is extremely lucrative. It's like the gold rush in California in the late 17th century. So I don't know.
Well, this is episode 1. We have precisely 0 listeners.
Zero.
So, the money will come later.
Depressing. Isn't your dog not listening?
No, not even
even rejected by the dog.
Rejected by the dog, I'm afraid. But let's talk about that for a second. Why we wanted to do this podcast. I was thinking to myself, so today's date is February 12th, 2020. And I think it's the next 10 years are really going to be quite spectacular in terms of this clean
and I'm worried
energy.
I'm not going to live that long. But yes, the next 10 years will be spectacular.
And I think that's the reason to start this podcast, because I think it's going to be quite interesting to watch what happens in the next. We should make this a 10-year limited series podcast.
Okay, so there you have it. We're quitting in 10 years.
Yeah, once a week for the next 10 years, and that should cover
We're
everything.
driving off on our electric moped, and that'll be that. So it's a 10-year limited. In fact, we'll call it a limited series. Like Netflix. If we're on Netflix, it'll be a limited series.
We'll all be driving electric cars, electric bicycles. The planet will be saved 10 years from now, so that'll be time to wrap it
And
up.
we can retire with our 3, 4, 5 listeners
Yeah.
that we've gained over those 10 years.
So, yeah, let's talk about cars, because I currently own 2 internal combustion cars, but I've been planning to go electric for a long time.
You have a charger out front that I plugged into. It's been sitting there for 3 years.
Well, here's the thing. 3 years ago, I put solar panels on my roof. We're a family of 4, and we're net zero for electricity. I'm very proud of that. We generate about 8 megawatts a year of electricity that covers the needs of our house. So at the time, 3 years ago, when I put up the panels, I also put in a car charger, because I thought, well, this is just around the corner. I'm going to be driving an electric car in a year or so. And meanwhile, as 3 years have gone by, I still don't have an electric car.
What do you have to say for yourself?
Well, I should have done what you did, which was get a used Nissan Leaf. So we're a 2-car family. I didn't want to go with a used Leaf because it's just kind of a city car. It's a city range. And I was going to hold out for, the 400 kilometer cars. In retrospect, because they've been slow to come, I should have just gone with a Leaf, and we'd have one city car and one highway car with the gas car. But I didn't do that. Been waiting for the longer range cars. I was not planning to buy a Tesla, but that is what I've put a deposit on, a standard range plus Tesla, because everybody else has just been so slow to come to market, and there just aren't a lot of other options.
So you agonized about this for a long time. What made you decide on a Tesla Model 3?
Well, yeah, I mean, mostly the price was what I was agonizing over, because I've never spent that much on a car. It's twice as much as I've ever spent on a car, and I really didn't want to go that expensive. But, you do your research, there's articles on the internet, over 5 years, a Tesla Model 3 Standard Range Plus should be cheaper than a Toyota Camry. And
Which is crazy.
It's crazy.
I've
it's
driven
true.
a Toyota Camry,
Yeah.
and after you drive even a 2013 Nissan Leaf, they seem crappy.
Yeah.
It's sluggish and loud, and they don't compare. There's a lot of people like you, though, that are thinking they're waiting.
Yeah.
And this ties into what I've been saying is what's taking so long for the price to come down. But it will come down, people. I'm telling you now.
And so really, I was planning on, one of our cars is a Kia, the other one is a Hyundai. Those are, it's kind of the same company, but those are 2 brands that I really like. So that's really what I thought I was going to be getting, was a Hyundai or a Kia. And they do have a couple of options. And I do think after Tesla, they are my favorite choices. Like, the efficiency is not too bad. The price is not too bad. But, to get the loaded Hyundai Kona, for instance, it's pretty much the same price as the Tesla. And I think the Tesla is a better car. It'll probably have better resale value. It's got better efficiency, all those kind of things. So, I was really going to go Hyundai Kia, but they've been slacking off. The other thing that happened was, we texted our sales guy at the local Kia dealer to get our name on the list. We were going to maybe reserve the 2020 Soul EV, because we have a Soul now, a gasoline one.
I like the Soul.
Soul, it's a great car. There's an EV model, that's coming out. And so we said, can we put our name on the list and reserve one of these? And they said no. So our local Kia dealer does not sell EVs.
I'm sorry, we don't want your money.
We do not want your money, is what they said. And
what was it, $45,000?
Yeah, it's about that, yeah.
So we're good.
But that brings me to another thing I was going to mention. So the Mini EV is coming out, right? The little British sports car Mini.
Yeah, that would suit you fine for your midlife crisis.
And that was another car I thought, well, maybe that'll be my first electric car, because I've always kind of wanted a Mini.
But they're pricey, aren't they?
I knew the electric one was coming. They're pricey. That's the problem.
They're very pricey for what you get. I mean,
well, and they're part of the BMW company, and BMW always kind of nickels and dimes you on, if you want anything above the base model, it's always expensive. They're not well equipped at the base model.
By the way, I've been watching Curb Your Enthusiasm lately, and he drives a Model 3 or a BMW i3.
i3, yeah.
And it's always parked on the street, which is fine. I understand filmmaking, where we both have a filmmaking background. Mm-hmm. And it's part of the establishment shot to show that he lives there. You don't want to tuck it away in the garage or somewhere. But they put combustion noises in it.
Oh, do they? I didn't
notice a couple
that.
of episodes ago when he was speeding out of the driveway because the language of an electric car just didn't work. I think they just liked the car for what it is.
Yeah.
For sort of high end but quirky to suit his character. But
well, apparently they put combustion noises on there was like an Audi in one of the Avengers movies.
Yes,
an electric Audi. Yeah. And they put some noises in there. But anyway, so turns out our local mini dealer, and we're here in the middle of nowhere.
This is a mini dealer?
We do have a mini dealer. We're in Regina, Saskatchewan, Canada, the middle of the prairies here in Canada.
Or just throw a dart at North America. You'll hit it somewhere in the middle.
We're kind of in the middle there. Anyway, they have one at the dealership.
What?
They have an electric Mini at the dealership.
Are you kidding me?
They just posted on Facebook, and I thought, well, that's kind of exciting. But then I thought about it again, and I realized I think that's actually a bad thing.
Really?
Yeah. So here in Saskatchewan, EVs are just not a thing. Like they're 0.001% of the market. Like we're very slow to adopt to electric vehicles where we are.
And other modern cultural things.
So on second thought, I thought to myself, if we have one at our dealership in Saskatchewan, that means there's no demand. Like if there was demand,
it should be gone instantly.
It should be gone instantly. But if there's demand, like places like California, where they have, zero emission regulations.
Well, it's gone now. The three people are listening to our podcast.
Somebody would be running out to buy one.
Yes.
But if there was demand for this car, they'd be selling all of them in Quebec. They'd be selling all of them in California. They'd be selling them all in Norway, in the European Union.
They have one. That just blows my mind.
They have one here.
I suspect no one knows about them, though. I didn't. I was a couple of days ago that I learned about it. Yeah. And I'm an EV guy. I have my own podcast right here. Hello.
But I don't know. I hate to be a pessimist, but I think that's bad news for Mini. If there's one in Saskatchewan, that means there's no demand.
Well, they're probably not planning on selling a ton of them, and they're for a certain customer.
And the problem is the range. It only has 177 kilometers range, which is it's just
for
too
the
low.
Price is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You have to want that image and that particular feel of a car.
Yeah. So myself, I was not planning to buy a Tesla. I was not planning to spend that much money, but I just sort of looked at the competition. They're just too far behind. I just decided to bite the bullet.
The supercharging network came to where we are, which is amazing.
Exactly.
It took a while. There was promise, but it's here, and it's V3. People be jealous right now.
We were the last part of the Trans-Canada Highway to get superchargers, and we have them now. They're all version 3. That was another thing that made me decide to go Tesla.
It's a big factor, the supercharging network.
It's huge because the car I'm buying has about a 400 kilometer range, which in our cold winters will go down to 300 or possibly 200 if it's minus 40.
Maybe, yeah.
So
on the highway, yeah.
So the supercharger network is important, especially in the winter. You want to be able to charge. So, but yeah, resale value, that's another part of it. I sort of thought it's a lot of money to spend on a car, but 5 years from now, the resale value is going to be better than
$10 less than you paid for it, probably.
Anything out there,
especially where we are, because we're not California. You can't buy a used Leaf in Regina, for instance.
Oh no, it's really hard.
They're gone before somebody even thinks about putting one up for sale. And if you did buy it, I imported mine from Quebec because they had various incentives out there, and I paid like $10,000 and change for it. And here, or even in other places in Western Canada, it would have been 16 because the demand for that used market is so high. And similar ones in Manitoba were going for 18 or even 20. So the used market, unless you're in a progressive place like California and other U.S. states like that, and Colorado, and we're the last place. So yeah, the used market here is going to be terrible. Somebody, maybe it'll be me, will want to take that Model 3 off your hands at a high price, I'm sure.
And of course, 5 years from now, it should be hopefully capable of full self-driving.
Jesus.
So in terms again of resale value, to buy a new 2020 combustion car is probably a terrible idea.
I think it is. And, I have one of our cars is a Prius, regular Prius, not a plug-in Prius. And we signed a 5-year lease because that was the cheapest deal at the time. And I was nervous about that. I thought, is this going to be worth anything in 5 years? But it is a lease and it doesn't really matter. But, we did almost have to replace it because of an accident. And I was worried, because I can't go out and buy an electric car. They are really expensive, because we often buy what's the best value. And the Prius, when you factor in cost of ownership, was bar none, plus it comes fairly loaded compared to other cars.
Yeah.
So well equipped, as they say in the automotive industry.
And so it was minus 29 degrees Celsius this morning.
Yes.
And which is about minus 20 Fahrenheit. And
that's a good conversion. How did you do that? Is it because of your advanced age? You're like 2 years older than I am, because I can't do that.
Yeah, no, it's all in
You're
the
a mathematical genius.
I am.
That's got to come in handy.
It's a Rain Man kind of thing.
Really?
So, you're kind of an expert now in cold weather car performance for electric cars. You've done a talk about electric
2-hour
cars.
talk, Brian.
Electric cars in the winter.
2 hour. I said maybe I could do 10 minutes about electric cars in winter, and they offered to pay me to get at the local library. And so I overcompensated trying to reach an hour, and I ended up reaching 2 hours. And
well, we talked before you started, and you said to me something like, I've got 145 slides on my PowerPoint, and I thought you were joking. But you
I was not. I kept adding to them. I am an expert. I did what I didn't know, I researched. And, when I was looking for an electric car, I spent 2 months researching to buy my Leaf. And I was concerned about the winter too, but I couldn't find any information about the winter. There was very little information. I saw one story early on about somebody in the far, far north, like the Arctic Circle in Canada, whose car didn't start because it wasn't plugged in and it was below. It was minus 40 and it wasn't charged, so the heater couldn't kick in. And, all Nissan Leafs after the first year, which I think only reached the States, have heaters in the batteries. So they actually are self-sustaining and it is the best. We live in a place that gets down to minus 40 Fahrenheit and Celsius. Did that calculation myself because it's the same. And I remember that from being a kid. It's amazing that they're just fantastic. They're more reliable. They're not straining. You feel like it's, a summer day. And then you're getting into it and it's hot, yet it's not running. You can leave it in your garage with the door closed and even in your living room. And there's so many reasons. And I grew up with crappy cars all my life. Being a starving artist, I went to film school. So that tells you everything you need to know. Sorry, I don't mean to cut down film school because Brian teaches film. It's a good career. Get into it, kids, and keep it alive. So I drove crappy cars, and I always worried about them getting cancer and breaking down. And like the day that it wouldn't start, and because I had no money, I had no extra money. So why I don't have a pet? Because I feel like I can't pay to fix it. Yeah, not fix it literally, but if it gets sick, I what am I going to do? Watch it die, or go broke, or remortgage the house? But the electric cars are so simple, and I've been advocating here in Saskatchewan, and people just don't get it. Like I tell them over and over again, I go on the radio and I tell them, I give a presentation and I tell them, and they don't get it. It doesn't absorb to them. They just don't understand. They think that electric cars are complicated. I compare it to starting an electric lawnmower in the wintertime and a gas lawnmower. Which would you rather do if it was minus 40? If you were at the North Pole, you would rather start an electric lawnmower because there's nothing to it. There's nothing that has to create fire. There's no pulleys. There's no sensors. There's no gas. There's no liquids. There's none of that stuff. It's just completely simple. It's elegant and it's luxurious.
The one thing is you do lose range. And so people are kind of obsessed with that. And of course, this is early days of electric cars. So the range on a lot of cars isn't as good as it will be in a few years.
But again, that's the problem that gets solved with lowering battery prices and improvements, incremental as they are, in battery technology. Because the more, like the Nissan Leaf, for instance, mine is a 24 kilowatt hour battery, and they've replaced it with one that's almost twice as much energy in the same size in just the few years that it's been around. So that's amazing. Yeah. And that's going to continue. And if that price and energy density keeps getting solved, then the half the range, who cares? People say, well, why am I going to want a Cybertruck to tow if I only get a 250 kilometer range? I can only drive for 2 hours towing. Well, I stop every 2 hours when I'm towing with my SUV just to fill up and put oil in the damn thing because it's burning oil like crazy, and I'm stressed about it, and my transmission is, overheating. I would love to tow with an electric vehicle, especially a new one.
And here's the other thing about where we live. So we had a cold snap about a month ago, minus 30, minus 35, that kind of thing. And my partner and I, we just went out to run some errands around town. And we live in kind of a small city, so the problem is the car never warms up. It's like you drive just 5 minutes to get to the grocery store.
Especially with fuel-efficient cars. If you're driving a big 8-cylinder truck or whatever, they heat up nicely. But eventually, an electric car, boom, it's blowing hot air right off the bat.
And my gasoline cars, they've got a small 4-cylinder efficient engine. Yeah, it's not like the 70s, those big V8s. They were creating so much waste heat. It was insane. But my little car, we were doing a whole morning of running errands at minus 30, and we'd drive 5 minutes to get to the grocery store. You come out, the car is stone cold again. And then we drive 5 minutes to go to the bank. And again, same thing. It just never warmed up.
Yeah. But with an electric car, you could actually just keep it running if you wanted to.
You could just
Nobody would know it would be running either.
Yeah, you would just leave the heat on, absolutely.
Yeah, which is great. Put it in pet mode if you're dog mode for your Tesla. No, electric cars are fantastic in winter, and I finally convinced myself that wasn't going to be an issue. But even though I knew it was an issue, I was afraid of it because when a car doesn't start in Saskatchewan in cold weather, it's because of the battery. Sometimes it's because, the gas line freezes, which is not uncommon. So they put antifreeze in the gas, which makes it actually less fuel efficient too in winter. So gas cars can be, for all the various reasons, such as denser air and rolling resistant on the roads from slush and snow, 25% less fuel efficient, and electric cars can be 40 to 50. Yeah. So, but because you're plugging in every night, like you plug in your cell phone, even though your gas tank might be half as big, worst case scenario, you're always starting with a full tank every morning, and it's not an inconvenience unless you have a long commute. Because some people in Canada, the only people that I know or have read about who have had a problem with electric cars in Canada are those who saw, say, a new Nissan Leaf and has, say, 300 kilometers range, and they've got a 250 kilometer commute every day. They're buying it because they want to save money on the commute. In Ontario, places like Ontario, which are big metropolises, and you live in the suburbs and maybe you have to travel that far every day for a job. And they haven't been working out because electric cars are less efficient at highway speeds. They're the reverse of combustion cars. So you get less mileage on the highway at higher speeds. That's my thought on that.
And it's like we're all used to, there are lots of disadvantages to gasoline cars, but we're all used to those. And you lose range in the winter, but everyone's used to that. And, it's fairly quick to fill up. So, we don't care so much. But
I was on the radio last month and there was a little old lady who came on and said, I don't want my power bill to go up anymore. It didn't matter that you would save $100 a month on gas. You didn't want your power bill to go up $5 for an electric car. And that's what it would have been for my elderly mother when she was alive. Is she didn't do a lot of driving. She just went to the grocery store, the church, and the bank, the usual old lady things.
Yeah.
And, she was spending $50 a month, but she would not want her power bill to go up 1 penny.
Yeah.
That's just a big restriction. I don't know what it is with people.
And again, we're used to paying $150 a month on gas.
It's nothing. And we're used to standing there like idiots in the cold, pumping the damn thing and spilling it on our shoes and then going and buying lottery tickets. I don't do that. That's stupid. I don't endorse gambling whatsoever.
And then once I put down the deposit on the electric car, I started thinking about all these things differently. What a pain in the ass it is to go to the gas station. And
it is, because sometimes I take my wife's car there, which is rare. It's like twice a year or something. I'll fill it up. And it's archaic. Yeah. It's madness. You're putting dinosaur juice into a vehicle and hoping that it lights on fire efficiently.
I was on a road trip one time to Seattle, and I was pumping the gas in the car, and I was just finishing up, and the hose detached from the pump.
Are you serious?
And fell on the ground, and a bunch of gasoline just spilled on the ground, and I was like, holy crap.
You can't see him. He's making a shocked, scared, not me face.
Yeah, and I sort of gently put the pump back on. I just finished, it was full, and I put the cap back on.
Very sitcom-y reaction of you, by the way.
Well, I told the attendant, and he was pretty shocked as well, but...
Yeah.
it all could have blown up, and we don't think of that as a disadvantage.
No, and you could smoke while you refuel your electric car.
That's right.
Smoke away, people.
Yeah.
Well, that's not healthy either. But yeah, you could if you wanted to. Hell, you could light firecrackers, which I used to do when I worked at a gas station.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they didn't like that.
Well, I wouldn't care for that either, I don't think.
No, I was 20 and very stupid. Boys mature slowly.
Yeah. So what do you think of the studio here? This is the fallout shelter in my house.
Yeah, you've got a bomb shelter in a 1950s house, and you've set up a recording studio here. The sad thing is that if there is a nuclear war or something horrible happen, we're going to survive. I'm not sure I want to survive.
Well, we can still do the podcast.
Well, yeah, but who's going to listen?
Well, we'll work that out. I mean, no one's listening now.
Attention, survivors.
Yeah. We'll send out a beacon. We'll be the emergency beacon. But there's a few key features of the bomb shelter. One is that it's cold and dank.
Cold and dank, yes.
The other is that these chairs are really uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
But hopefully that helps us to move things along. We don't blather on for too long.
I'm already thinking, when's this show going to be over? My ass is killing me.
We got to wrap this up.
It's painful.
Painful.
Anyway, what are we going to do in future shows? We're going to talk about basically what's been going on. Every week there's a lot of news stories, and we'll just have a conversation about it. I sort of equate it to like a sports commentary show where we just discuss stuff.
Yeah.
Have fun talking about it.
And we're entertaining people, I guess.
Sure, we're entertaining people. You're entertained, aren't you?
Yeah.
Ed? Or whoever you are?
Okay, we'll start with targeting people named Ed.
Sure, and we'll work our way out to Eduardo's. Can you speak Spanish?
No, I can't.
What?
No.
Oh, I can't either.
No. But yeah, I think it makes sense. This next 10 years there's going to be lots to talk about. It's going to be insane, the transition that happens.
It's a limited series, though. Only 10 years.
Limited series, once a week for 10 years.
Oh, God.
That's all I can commit to.
Well, we have to start looking for a replacement for me because I'm not sure my body's going to hold up for 10 years.
Yeah. So is there any more news stories? I've got a long list of news stories to discuss, but...
well, you've made several $1 million on the Tesla stock, so...
yes, I do have to disclose I am also a Tesla shareholder, so...
I have to disclose that I'm poor. Yeah, you're doing well.
If the podcast goes well, I'll give you one of my shares.
One. Okay. Yeah. That's enough. I can retire on that.
Yeah.
I'm not a fussy man.
But yeah, I didn't sort of expect to be a Tesla fanboy. I really...
you turned into a Tesla fanboy in the last couple of weeks.
I really resisted it for a long time.
What did it to you?
Well, like I say, it was just everybody else was just so slow. I really thought I was going to go down the Hyundai Kia route. And those cars are pretty darn good. The Kona, the Niro EV, those are decent cars with a decent range. It's kind of a compelling second place, I think, to Tesla. But once you look at all the things that Tesla has integrated into their whole ecosystem of, the operating system in the car, the ability to do updates, the fact that their batteries are the most efficient. They're doing another battery announcement in April, it sounds like. It sounds like they're going to...
Proven longevity.
Increase the longevity, lower the cost. I think it's just a better bet in terms of cars.
It's also kind of like buying an iPhone because... Well, in the days when the iPhones actually improved, they don't so much anymore. They just add 2 more cameras. But yeah, the technology and the new ones seem like they're going to be making things obsolete.
And yeah, there is that concern of, with electronics, it's like, do I buy the new phone or do I wait for the next one? So there is that concern with Tesla or any electric car. It's like, well, should I buy now? Should I wait for they will improve, they will get better, and they will get cheaper. But I just didn't want to wait any longer. I think there are cheaper, compelling options coming from other companies, but at the rate that they're going, a cheaper model from Tesla seems just as likely as anything else. They're talking about building something in China for the world market. Mm-hmm. That'll likely be a cheaper, smaller electric car, maybe the $25,000 range.
I hope that comes sometime.
Yeah. I mean, Volkswagen is, I think, seem to be spending the most money. Volkswagen seems very committed to EVs, but none of those have materialized yet. But I don't know. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. So stay with us for 10 years.
Yeah, so we'll release on Thursdays, and this is the Clean Energy Show, I guess.
We'll see you next week.